Hi, and welcome to the first chapter of our Craft 5 tutorial. My name is Jay Barclay, and we run Red Acorn Agency, a verified member of the Craft Partnership Program. We'll begin by learning two different ways to install Craft 5, the latest version of Craft available at this time of recording. Alright, let's get started. The first method is the one recommended by Craft using DDEV. Now, since we're using a Mac, we'll also be using iTerm and VS Code for the rest of the tutorial. If you visit the official Craft tutorial page, you'll come across DDEV when you scroll down. Now, DDEV is a PHP dev environment that uses Docker. Make sure that your workstation meets DDEV requirements, however. Before installing DDEV, you do need to get Docker set up on your computer. Now, we won't cover installing Docker nor DDEV itself, but I do recommend using OrbStack, as it was very easy to get set up on our Mac. Assuming you've installed OrbStack, next step is to get DDEV installed. In order to do so, use the Homebrew, a fantastic package manager for macOS, and follow the instructions. After Docker and DDEV are installed, go ahead to the CMS Quick Start section. Here's where you'll find the commands necessary to install Craft, and that's where we'll begin next. Alright, now using iTerm, let's navigate to the folder that we set up for the tutorial, and then simply fire up a couple of DDEV commands to download the latest version of Craft. Now first, let's set up a DDEV configuration by typing DDEV config --project-type equals craft cms --dogroot equals web --create -dogroot. To install Craft, type DDEV composer create -y --no -scripts craft cms/craft. DDEV and Composer will download all the files necessary, including the starter project that has the recommended scaffolding or folder structure for our project. And it's time to set up our login by typing DDEV craft install. When you do, however, you may get this PHP version mismatch error message. If you do, simply open the project folder in VS Code, and in the .ddev folder, open the config.yaml file and change the PHP version. Afterwards, type DDEV restart to apply the change. And retype DDEV craft install. Type in your username or simply hit return for the default admin. Enter your email. Type in the password, and then obviously confirm the password. And type in the site name. Let's call it Craft5 and hit return. And leave the site URL and site language as default. Hit return. And DDEV will now start to install Craft5. And when you go back to the browser and type craft5.ddev.site, you'll see Craft's default welcoming page. Type in /admin at the end of the URL and type in your login. You'll now see the control panel's dashboard page. Now that we've installed Craft, let's get to know more about the folders and files in our project directory. In the project directory, there are 5 folders: config, storage, templates, vendor, and web. There are also several files, including .env files, .gitignore file, bootstrap.php file, composer files, and the Craft file. Let's take a closer look at each. The config folder holds .php and .yaml configuration files, as well as the license key and the general.php file that can hold custom config options. The storage folder holds temporary files like caches and logs, as well as backup and custom branding files for pro license users. The template folder holds your front-end Twig and HTML template files to render content. The vendor folder holds your craft or third-party plugins, including their composer dependencies. The web folder is your document root that holds publicly accessed files such as images, documents, CSS files, and JavaScript files. The .env file holds sensitive information and secrets like your database username and password that are environment-specific, such as dev, staging, or production. Craft also comes with a .env_example file to serve as a starting point. The .gitignore file tells Git which files and folders should be excluded when committed to a depository. The bootstrap.php file is a non-configurable file that consolidates bootstrapping logic and other constants. Just to note, it has nothing to do with the Bootstrap CSS framework. The composer.json and composer.log files tell Craft what packages and dependencies should be installed using Composer. The Craft file is a command line executable to run Craft's console commands. We'll talk more about the console commands throughout the tutorial. For those of you who would prefer MemPro as their local environment, unfortunately we'll have to wait. That's because Craft 5 requires MySQL 8, and the latest version of MemPro is only on MySQL 5 as of April 2024. So for now, stay with DDev to develop locally. That's it for Chapter 1 in our Craft CMS tutorial series. Thanks for watching, and don't miss Chapter 2, where we do a quick tour of the backend. See you then.